Hey, it's Cookie Pirate. I didn't plan on starting to record so early. I wanted to grind a bit, but I discovered the chest and the city in my first day. So, looks like a story event is occurring. Something unusual happens that morning. You stir in your sleep, bothered by a noise. It's the familiar creaking of your camp storage chest, as if you just opened it to fill with freshly found loot. Groaning, you hug your blankets and twist. Nothing to worry about then. You soon drift back into a pleasant dream about all the spoils you've accumulated over the time here. Life is good. Suddenly you sit up straight and something occurs to you. If you're sleeping, then who's opening the chest? You rush out of bed and into camp, concerned for your stash. Hey, you call out, sleepy as. Indeed, a strange red being is rummaging through your belongings. It has its front body in your storage chest, throwing junk about in search of valuables, while its bright red tail wags in the air. The moment it notices you, it jumps and runs off so fast it turns into a red blur. Only at the outskirts of your camp, on top a small crumbled wall, does it take time to introduce itself. "Ha ha!" It exclaims boastfully with a sharp, young, dashing voice, while standing tall and proud on top of its perch. Another daring caper committed by the being takes its time to strike a pose. The russet rogue. You rub your eyes, walk towards the wall, and take a curious look up. It appears to be a red fox. He's looking down at you with a triumphant smirk on a tapered snout, most definitely male and masculine. Although not the broadest figure around, his muscles are lean and strong. His contoured torso flares up above narrow hips and gives him a body that has agile deftness to it. He wears a loose red-bound jacket and supple deerskin pants, with a red sash across the hip and soft-soled boots. They do much to complement the vivid color of his fur, which is a vibrant crimson, broken only by the beige fur running down his chest and towards his crotch. The only two things that are large about him is the clear bulge in his thin leather pants and the bushy tail that flicks playfully from side to side. The russet rogue takes quite a bit of pleasure from the larceny, it seems. Judging from his ornate outfit, he does it for the thrill of it. He himself must be well off. Suddenly, Raphael's features grow soft and surprised as he looks down upon you. You get the feeling he's eyeing you up and catching a peek at your cleavage, but you can't be sure. Murray must have cursed me for audacity, for I am growing blind even at my young age. The fox puts his hand to his forehead and pretends to faint. He rights himself just before he hits the ground. However, he lands in a kneel before your feet. You can't help but smile a little at the amount of theatrical flourish. Here I thought I searched the entire camp, found every treasure, pilfered every gem, he states while sauntering towards you in a disarming wide stride. But it seems I have overlooked the greatest jewel of all. And Raphael kneels before you, taking you by the hand and planting a kiss upon it. "Can you ever forgive me for my blindness, my fair lady?" He takes your hand in both his paws, while looking deeply into your eyes. His own are deep emerald green, contrasting sharply with his bright red coat. They are set below a sturdy brow that gives him playful maturity and a rough, regal elegance. What do you do? I guess I'll swoon. You snicker softly, shift your weight on one leg and blush a little. He's quite the charmer, almost good enough to forgive him for robbing you. The attention he showers you with doesn't leave you cold either. Normally I rob opulent merchants and criminals. I have no idea what drew me into your camp. Perhaps destiny willed this fateful meeting? He looks up and burrs with a suave accent. Then again, I am attracted to extraordinary splendor. He gazes at you with an emerald shimmer in his rich green eyes. Curious, you finally asked him who he really is. "Why, I am Raphael," he lisps affectionately and rises slowly. "Adventurer extraordinaire, redistributors of misplaced wealth, and a connoisseur of all things fine in life. He strides into camp with the kind of respectful confidence that makes the place his own. He pops open the tightly locked trunk with a mere kick of the boot and places his ill-gotten gains back into your belonging. The orphanage will have to wait. Tonight I will regale the small ones with tales of exceptional beauty instead. A faint, nondescript sound is heard and instantly you pull away from the surreality of your little meeting to realize that others might not be so smitten by apparently the world-famous thief. What if others discover him? Your mind races to come up with excuses for your illicit rendezvous, but clearly you're more worried about Raphael's presence than he is. He merely smiles at the noise, keeps his cool, and takes you by the hand. One more time he plants a kiss on top of it by bending through the crossed knees. Okay. Well, since I'm recording, I guess I'll get some story events from the lake. You stroll around, increasingly bores you. Okay. While walking along the lake, a glint of metal catches your eye. You drop into a combat stance, readying your fist for another fight. Your eyes dart, searching for the source of the light. You feel rather foolish when you locate the source of the reflection. It came from a sword lodged hilt deep in the trunk of a tree. You relax a bit, approaching the odd sight to get a better look. The tree is thick enough to encapsulate the entire blade. Nothing protrudes from the far side at all. In another odd twist, there is not any sap leaking around the undamaged bark that surrounds the sword. The hilt itself seems to be made of bronze, with gold inlays along the outside of the handguard. Looking closer, you realize they portray a stylized figure battling a horde of demons. The handle is wrapped tightly with rugged leather that still looks brand new in spite of how long the sword must have been here for the tree to grow so thoroughly around it. You suppose you could try to pull it free, do you? Yes. You grip the handle with both hands and easily pull the sword free, surprising yourself with how easy it was to remove. Remarkably, the tree's trunk is entirely intact. While marveling at this new development, a leaf brushes your shoulder. You look up and watch as every single leaf turns from a healthy green to brilliant orange and finally changes to brown. The leaves rain down around you, covering the ground in dead plant matter, leaving you alone with the withering skeleton of a dead tree. The sight saddens you, though you cannot fathom why. The blade itself is 3.5 feet of the purest shining steel you've ever seen. This truly is a beautiful blade. You place the beautiful shining sword in your third pouch. Okay, now the beautiful sword becomes progressively less effective as you get more corrupt, and if your corruption hits over 30, you won't be able to hold it. You won't be able to equip it anymore. But yeah, I'm equipping it just for the sake of it. But I'm planning on playing a little corrupt, mostly because I want to be at least 33 corruption by the time I explore the plains 10 times. There's like a location, and it just annoys me when it says, "Oh, you're not ready to enter the bazaar." So since I have to go to the plains anyway. As you roam the shores of the lake, you find your footsteps echoing as though you were stepping on wood rather than swishing in the sandy mud of a shore. Curious, you squat down and brush the soil away, revealing the rotting form of a wooden plank. Looking carefully at the ground underfoot, you realize that it is part of a pathway, the kind that villages make to provide easier access to and from muddy rivers, lakes, and beaches. You believe you can make out the rest of the path clearly enough to follow it to its end. Do you follow the pathway? Yes. Yes. You follow the overgrown path inland, away from the shore of the lake. You pass through thick trees, struggling not to lose the path, before finally reaching what is clearly the end. In front of you lie crumbling walls, broken and scattered by the wind and rain, and other forces entirely. Beyond them are houses that have been torn apart, burned, or collapsed. This was clearly once a village, but it was devastated at some point in the past. Demon attack is the first possibility that leaps into your mind. You examine the ruins for a time, and then decide to head back to camp. You don't think it would be wise to investigate here without preparing first. Town ruins added to place's menu. Explore the lake. Your quick walk along the lake shore feels good. You bet you could cover the same distance even faster next time. Okay, again, trying to get to the boat. That's important for the the factory, the first dungeon. You encounter a hunched figure working as you come around a large bush. Clothed in tattered robes that obscure most his figure, you can nonetheless see a rat-like muzzle protruding from the shadowy hood that conceals most of his form. A simple glance behind him confirms your suspicions. This is some kind of rat person. He seems oblivious to your presence as he stirs a cauldron of viscous fluid with one hand. A neat stack of beakers and phials sit in the dirt to his left. You see a smile break across his aged visage, and he says, "Come closer, child. I will not bite." Apprehensive of the dangers of the unknown land, you cautiously approach. "I am Raphael, the alchemist. Once I was famed for my miracle cures. Now I idle by this lake, helpless to do anything but measure the increasing amounts of corruption that taint its waters," he says as he pulls back his hood, revealing the entirety of his very bald and wrinkled head. He sighs dejectedly. "I'm not sure what I can do for you, youngling. The world is fraught with unimaginable dangers, and you're just scratching the surface of them." You nod and move on, leaving the depressed alchemist to his sadness. Now, unfortunately, I went to the pawn shop and sold my corrupted thing, but if you get him to purify your items, which will cost between $20 and $50, or if you buy dyes, which cost $50 a piece, that's why I don't have any options right now. If you make 3 purchases from him, he will join your camp, which is kind of convenient. I mean, he still charges, but, as opposed to right now when he's a random encounter. But, I want to find the lake before I've recorded 15 minutes. You find a long and oddly flared vial, half buried in the sand. Written across the middle is written across the middle band of the vial is a single word, equinium. You place a vial of equinium in your 3rd pouch. Yeah, I'm gonna pawn that. I don't want to horse anything. But yeah. You find an odd fruit-bearing tree growing near the lake shore. One of the fruits has fallen on the ground in front of you. You pick it up. There is no room for a large piece of whisker fruit in your inventory. You may replace the contents of your pouch with a piece of whisker fruit or abandon it. Whatever. Explorer, come on. Okay. You journey around the lake, seeking demons to fight. The air is fresh and the grass is cool and soft under your feet. Soft waves lap against the muddy sand of the lakeshore, as if radiating outward from the lake. You pass around a few bushes carefully, being wary of hidden surprises. You come upon a small dock. The dock is crafted from old growth of trees lashed together with some crude rope. Judging from the appearance of the rope, it is very old and has not been seen in quite some time. Tied to the dock is a small rowboat, only about 7 feet long and 3 feet wide. The boat appears in much better condition than the dock, and appears to be brand new. You have discovered the lake boat. Okay, in any case, to unlock the factory, you have to explore the lake, which has some level 4 enemies. I'm still at level 1, though I'm pretty close to leveling up. So I'm going to do some more grinding, but I hope everyone has a nice day.